The former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Mayor, it's always great seeing you. You know, it's election day tomorrow. And if it were not for you and Bernie Kerik informing Americans about, this three-pronged Biden family scandal, it's the sex tape, the laptop, and the testimony of Tony Bobulinski. What's the latest you can share with us here on the Chris Salcedo Show audience?
The latest I can share is now that I've heard the explanation of Mr. Isaac's lawyer, it really solves a bit of a mystery for me. I always wondered why the FBI, when Mr. Isaacs reported the computer, and he reported it on the basis of Ukraine. He never had seen anything else on it. I always wondered, why did the FBI send a child pornography specialist? The reason is the FBI had gotten the computer, I think it was in Albuquerque, from Mr. Isaac's brother earlier, had been through it. So they obviously knew what it contained. And what puzzles me is they never did anything about it. They never did the things that law enforcement is supposed to do when there's a suspicion, or even more than that, of endangerment to children. There's an acknowledgement and an admission, or a confession, you might say, by Hunter Biden that he posed a danger to the children. And then there are a significant number of photographs that would support that he's not just, dreaming this up. And then there's also a recitation of a therapist who comes to that conclusion. You put that all together, Hunter Biden's admission, the therapist, the photographs that indicate that he does do what he said he was doing in the conversation with his father. And for the life of me, I can't figure out how the FBI justifies not trying to protect the children. In any event, the FBI also let the president get impeached when there is an enormous amount of evidence in this computer about the Ukraine, which explains the significant crimes committed by Joe Biden, 2 bribes, and Hunter Biden, which justifies completely the president's conversation with President Zelensky.
Before we graduate to that, let's just focus on let me just focus in on the illegality first. When you and Bernie Kerik saw the information on this laptop, you knew immediately, as former elected officials, you were compelled to do something. So that begs a couple of questions. Number one, why didn't the FBI have that same urgency, I would assume, to protect minor children? And then if Mr. Biden is indicated on that Joe Biden knew about what his son was up to here, why didn't he have that same attack of conscience to get his son help and to save those minor children from potential harm?
Well, the reality is I can't answer for Joe Biden. All I can tell you is that there is a text in 2019, September, I'm going to say, directly from Hunter to Joe. The text reads as follows: the therapist is stopping me from seeing the children because the therapist says that I have been nude in front of them, that I've smoked crack in front of them with no clothes on, that I FaceTime them with no clothes on, and that I FaceTime prostitutes in front of them with no clothes on. He then goes on to say that the young lady, the 14-year-old, who is the subject of this behavior, now says that it isn't true. But then in a very, very plaintive cry for help, I would think, he says to his father, but I do pose a danger to the kids. So then when you try to figure out is it true or not, and you go to the hard drive, 29,000 photos, you see numerous photos of him doing all the things I just described.
Good
and
grief.
Then you see a disproportionate number for an adult male of photographs of underage girls. Some of it appropriate, still wondering why all of it is there, but appropriate. Some of it highly inappropriate, and some that at least the experts I showed it to believe that it crossed the line so much it had to be reported.
Now, Mr. Mayor, I want to ask you about, there are legitimate news sources out there that have confirmed that Hunter Biden is under an FBI investigation as of 2019, we're told, and it should have been sooner in my opinion, but 2019 for money laundering. And that begs more questions. What are the countries he's laundering money for? And then to whom is he laundering money to?
then the people in the FBI really, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing or doesn't want to. I mean, I gave them a document that demonstrates money laundering by Hunter Biden for $14.3 million of money that moved from Burisma in Ukraine and was disguised as a loan to a phony company in Latvia, to a phony company in Cyprus, and then into his account. I handed that to them in January of 2020. I handed it to the U.S. attorney in Pittsburgh, and he didn't investigate a damn thing about it.
Wow.
And then he let the president get impeached on the theory that there was no reason for the president to be asking the president of Ukraine to investigate Biden when there were 1,000 reasons to do it sitting in the computer the FBI was hiding. And Chris, you can't miss Ukraine in this computer. You can't possibly miss Ukraine in this computer. Here's the computer. I'm going to open it now for the first. This is the FBI opening for the first time. It says Robert Hunter. I know the password, of course. Now I'm going to open the computer. And on the right-hand side, you know, like the legends on the front page of a computer, there's one that says Hunter Burisma emails waiting to upload. I'm sorry, you couldn't possibly have missed that. The reason that the repairman criminal is because he read those and he interpreted it as criminal conduct. You mean to tell me the FBI didn't open them like I'm doing right now?
Now,
and
is there evidence?
Them?
Have you actually seen evidence? Have you seen evidence of
20, 30, 40, 50, 60?
Right.
70,
well, Mr.
80,
Mayor, have
90,
you seen evidence
100,
on this?
110, 120, 130, 145 text, emails about Burisma, which, how this could be hidden, covered up, and concealed when a president is being impeached by a bunch of crooked, phony Democrats for a charge that's full.
Well, let me ask you that. We're quickly running out, Mr. Mayor. We're quickly running out of time, and I want to get one more question in about potential bribes. What do we know about all the revelations that have come out so far? The laptop, from what Tony Bobulinski has told us about potential bribes.
Joe Biden was getting half of the money that was given to Hunter. Hunter says that in a January 3rd, 2019 text to his daughter. He says that for 30 years, I've had to pay for all the expenses, and I've had to kick back half of what I get to my father. And then you have a document that in one particular case entitles Joe to 10% of the equity. But that particular case is really important. It's with two major Chinese spies that Hunter Biden describes on a audio recording that's in this hard drive as being the spy master of China. Now, being in business with him and getting money from him, and they got money. I have the transfer of $4.7 million from them, getting money from them. Now we're starting to talk about not just bribery, but espionage. Doing business with Chinese spies is espionage, my friend, not just bribery.
Yeah.
And they want to cover this all up. This man is
maybe that's the reason why.
dirty. The man going to the White House.
That's the reason
and he's not
Christopher
gonna get
Wray's
there,
FBI has
God
covered
willing.
it up.
The FBI covered this all up, the whole thing. And they leave it until the last minute.
Yep.
Thank God I got this, but we would never have known it. We would never have known.
That's true.
That he got money from Chinese communists.
If it were not for you and Bernie Kerik getting this out, none of us would have known just how dirty the Obama years and probably before the Bidens have been. Mr. Mayor, it's always a pleasure talking with you. I just got to scoot. I'm plumb out of time. Thank you very much for the time, as always. Rudy Giuliani, folks, America's Mayor. Back in a minute, the Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax TV.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.